terrifying. I mean, I'm in this little wooden canoe, I'm on jet lag. What are some of the dangers that you're facing here? And he's like, if you get bit by a bug, you're probably gonna die. If you fall in the water, you're probably gonna die. And there's still 30 spearings a year on this section of the river.
What would it look like if there was a bottled water on the shelf that gave all of its available profits to helping with the world water crisis? You know, another 2 billion that didn't have access to adequate sanitation. And adequate sanitation just means a hole in the ground.
Right.
That's called adequate sanitation. So,
Yeah.
so 2 billion people are going to the bathroom on top of the ground.
8 toilets for girls, 2 for teachers, and 4 for boys.
And this is something you designed.
We designed it. We consider ourselves an implementer
Yeah.
rather than a funder. We don't just raise money to pay somebody to drill a well somewhere.
Here we are. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Lightbox Missions podcast. We are so excited you're here, and I am very excited to be here with Dr. Ted Medetol and Joan Palmer. Thank you guys so much for being here and just jumping on the podcast and sharing your incredible journeys and where you are at with Hope Springs
We
Water.
pretty much talk to anybody that'll listen.
Yeah, you don't have to invite us twice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I love it. I mean, I was lucky enough to spend some time in Ethiopia with both of you 7 years ago with my
Can't
pregnant
believe
wife.
It's been that long.
I know, it's been
wild.
so long. And that really opened my eyes to a lot of just the water crisis in the world. And I felt so educated and so honored and blessed to be able to just be educated myself on the situation while I was there doing this little micro documentary that my wife and I did there. So
You walked way back up on the top of that mountain to Kochi.
I mean,
oh my goodness,
that was some high elevation.
Yeah.
That was super high
That's
elevation.
wild.
Yeah.
That was up there.
Pretty remote little area.
Yeah. 8 months pregnant, my wife.
That's crazy.
That area is inaccessible to us now
Is it really?
for security
wow.
uses. We can't go up
Yeah,
into
the
there at
rebels
all.
are kind of taking that area back over, and we've actually had to move out of Bantu. You know, that was our home base when you were there, and we had to leave it. We had to move out closer to the main highway because they won't let you go back in there. The army won't at times.
Do you know if the well is still active?
As far as we know,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Baranu goes out there pretty regularly, and he tells us that everything's still
Yeah.
functioning pretty well.
Man, well, I don't want to get too far ahead because we could talk about this kind of stuff all day long in the wells, but we'll get there. We'll get there. But Ted, I mean, you're an Arkansas native,
Right.
and you are in. Where are you at now?
I'm in Athens,
You're in
Texas.
Athens, Texas.
I'm a family physician. I retired from my full-time practice 5 years ago now, and I went into with another one of the physicians in town, and we've started a federally qualified health clinic, which is for those people, those patients who fall in the crack. They don't have health insurance, they don't qualify for Medicaid, and they really basically have no access to health care unless they go to an emergency room, which is really not good medicine. I mean, not that they're bad physicians, but that's not how you practice medicine. You take care of emergencies in emergency rooms, not take care of high blood pressure and heart disease and
Right.
renal disease and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. How long have you been doing that? Just being in the medical field?
I graduated from medical school actually 50 years ago. At the University of Arkansas, and went to my 50-year reunion just this year, so that was kind of fun. I got to see all the old folks that I'm thinking, man, you got old. What happened to you? Of course, I didn't get old. They're the ones that got old.
Of course.
But graduated 50 years ago, and then I went into the Navy for 4 years, and then came out. I did an internship at Oakland Naval Regional Medical Center in Oakland, California, and then came out of the Navy and did a 3-year residency in family practice in Fort Worth, and then moved to Athens, and I practiced there for 45 years.
Incredible. And you're still practicing while also doing nonprofits, traveling around the world, and running a business selling water.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
you stay busy. You stay busy.
It's hard for me to say I'm actually retired, but I did retire
Yeah.
from my primary practice.
Absolutely. I mean, it probably takes just surrounding yourself with an amazing team to be able to pull all this off as well.
There's absolutely no way that any of this could have happened if God hadn't called other people to the same idea, the same calling that He'd called me to do these things. None of it would have happened. None of it would have happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim, I know that you've served on the International Mission Board, IMB, for a long time. But where are you originally from? Can you give us a little background?
I was born in Georgia, grew up in Alabama. I tell people my dad was a pastor and not a very good one, and so we moved around a lot. But The truth was that he pastored a number of churches, and so we moved different places, and I guess left me with a great legacy. I never thought I would be a pastor, but God has other plans. And in fact, my son's also a pastor. The three generations of ordained pastors. I never thought my son would be a pastor either, but came to
Family pastors.
came to Texas to finish up some schooling. Met my wife here. She's from Fort Worth, and then went to Golden Gate Baptist Theological Seminary in California. And then from there, went to the mission field. We served for 10 years in Honduras and then 20 years in Nicaragua.
Wow.
And so the decade of the 80s, we had no missionaries in Nicaragua because of the political issues there. And then in 1990, our board asked Viola and I, my wife, to transfer to Nicaragua. We were really the first missionaries of any denomination to go back to Nicaragua to begin to kind of restart relationships with the Baptist churches that were there and develop different ministries there. And so we spent 20 years in Nicaragua. The last 15 of those we spent working with indigenous people, the Miskito and Mayagna people, two small indigenous people groups that were considered unreached people groups at that time. There was less than 2% were considered evangelical believers. There was no missionaries living among these people, no mission strategy, no training for pastors. And so we kind of went to the jungle and began to serve out there. And then we're part of what we call a church planting movement, a Christward movement among people, and saw several hundred churches planted among the Miskito Mayagna people. We still direct a mission network called the NICA Team for Nicaragua, and we partner with churches here in the United States that partner with our churches in Nicaragua to do church planting, to do pastoral training, and to do ministries. Hope Springs Water is one of those ministries that we do. We do some agricultural work, we do medical work, and water and sanitation.
I love that. Why do you feel like God called you to Nicaragua?
Really, God called us to Honduras, and we were there 10 years. Then our board said, we've got to have a couple to go to Nicaragua. And
They call the board.
Our mission board, and then of course, they give you an option. It's not like, oh, pack your bags, you're going to Nicaragua. I had gone over and done some relief work during those years, taking a few people over to do some relief work after some hurricanes. So I was familiar with the country and knew some of the Baptist leaders there, and they were interested in having a missionary come back to work with them. And so I actually wrote the job description for a couple to go to Nicaragua. And I told my wife when I came back, I said, I pity the couple that ends up going to Nicaragua.
And it was
because it was a country really struggling, as it still is today. But then our board called and said, we just feel like you're the right people to go and reestablish relationships with the Baptist churches there and develop ministries for outreach. And so it was just one of those things. My wife and I said, we said yes to God a long time ago. And so as God opened up doors in our lives to do other things, we said, well, it's really not do we say yes or no. We've already said yes. And so with our kids, we packed up and went to Nicaragua and grew to love Nicaragua just like we had done Honduras as our home. And so I continue to go back and forth to Nicaragua 4 or 5 times a year. And we have strong leaders now and people who help coordinate our work down there. And so I'm trying to pass the baton a little bit in that area to our leadership there.
Some of the first wells that Hope Springs Water was involved with
were in Nicaragua because we were already, our ministry, we were already doing water work. I've been doing water ministries for years. And so when Hope Springs Water was birthed, and Ted can tell you more of that story, but it was just a natural place for us to start.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Ted, how did you find Jim? How did you guys connect? What was that story like?
We connected basically through church. I mean, we had gone down there a few times before he left and had done just like medical mission trips.
Yeah.
And
not as Hope Springs though, just
not as Hope
medical
Springs,
mission trips.
just through the church. That's how we actually made our first connections, was through the church, and had gone down and done some medical work and medical mission work.
Ted hiked with me 7.5, 8 hours up into the jungle to do a medical trip. And fell off a log bridge that went across a ravine. He literally fell off that down into a ravine with water in it.
Wait, how old were you guys when you were doing
It had
that?
piranha in it too.
Yeah, it had piranha. Yeah, sure. So
they weren't hungry.
That's awesome. I've
It's,
been,
it's amazing we stayed friends after that. But
Yeah.
I seriously thought they were going to have to bury me on that trip. I thought I was
You were
going to
like,
die.
Yeah.
ready.
this was to a little Mayagna village, an indigenous people group that lived way back up in the rainforest,
Wow.
pretty isolated from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And we took a medical team up there, and that was really the medical team really helped us build relationships with the community that was very skeptical of who we are and why we were there. But it helped us build relationships that eventually allowed us to plant a church in that village and continue to have relationships there today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Piranhas terrify me. I've eaten piranhas in
And
the
that's
jungle
how it should be.
in
It
Brazil.
should be you eating the
You eating
piranha,
them,
not the
right.
Yeah.
piranha eating you.
I was on the Amazon River. This was years ago. This is
Yeah.
2015, and I was doing another film through a church. There was a missionary there, and he was so far back there. He, I was one of the last white people to go to the tribe that Elizabeth Elliot was serving before she passed
Aka.
away. And yeah, what was
Aka.
it? The Aka,
Aka
yeah.
people, yeah.
Yeah, it was an incredible trip, but
Yeah.
terrifying. I mean, I'm in this little wooden canoe. I'm all
yeah.
jet lagged. I've been on a bus and a plane and a motorcycle, and we're in this
Probably a
canoe.
bus with pigs
I'm
and
just like
chickens
falling
and-
asleep and trying to get this interview. Like, what are some of the dangers that you're facing here? And he's like, well, I mean, if you get bit by a bug, you're probably gonna die. If you fall in the water, you're probably gonna die. And there's still 30
Yeah.
spearings a year
gosh.
on this section of the river, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what?
The
Were there
rainforest.
snakes? You don't
rainforest is
get
different.
The
snakes.
rainforest is not like the Arboretum in Dallas.
Yeah.
Everything in the rainforest will bite you, scratch you, itch you, poke you, kill you, infect you.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nasty place.
It is out to kill you.
That's why I thought I was going to die there.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Wait, how old were you guys when you were there?
Oh,
What was it, 20 years ago?
oh gosh, it's been 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Younger than they are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 years
But-
younger than we are now.
But y'all are still doing
But
trips,
I've
right?
been up
Oh,
into
yeah.
that area.
In fact, we're
several
going
times
again in the
since then.
fall.
You're going at the end of the fall?
Going into the end of fall. We're going in.
Where are you going?
It's October.
Well, we have a team going to Nicaragua in October. We have a team going to Ethiopia in late October, and then early November we have a team going to Guatemala. So we have 3 teams in October, November.
Yeah.
We kind of have to hit the dry season as best we can because getting your drilling rig into some of these places where we like to go, it's difficult.
Yeah.
In the rainy season, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
How-
go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just gonna ask how many months prior do you have to start planning for these trips?
Oh, we plan many months in advance. Now, we in Ethiopia, we actually have a nonprofit that we support that's made up of natives in Ethiopia, and they do a lot of the planning for us. And then
Okay.
we have Jim writes up a contract that we have with the government for usually it's a 3-year contract. We've got one coming up again the end of this year. And we just kind of tell them what we're going to do. And then we attempt to do all that. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. And they're okay with it as long as we're moving forward and working on it.
Is that
Sure.
mainly to do with drilling wells and stuff?
What's the question?
Is it mainly to do with drilling or the contract
Certainly,
with the government?
with Hope Springs Water, it is. With our spiritual ministry that coincides with all of that, we have partners. We have pastors and churches and individuals, and then government agencies that we work with.
Yeah.
And so we're working in both Guatemala, Nicaragua, and Ethiopia, and in Kenya. They help us do the planning. They kind of say where high priorities are. For example, in Ethiopia, the government will come in and say, here are 10 villages that desperately need clean water. They've already done an analysis. They kind of know where water is available, where water is not available. And then they offer that to us, and then we can say, well, we could do this one, this one, this one. They give us that option.
We also do sanitation. We build functional toilets because there's still a great deal of just people that go to the bathroom on the ground or behind a bush or whatever like
It's
that.
a
And so-
WASH program, right?
Yeah, WASH program, water,
What is this?
sanitation, and hygiene education. We have added to that a women's menstrual management. When we were in one of the villages off the beaten path one time, one of the teachers in one of the little schools, now these are dirt floor schools with split rail benches, and that's about all they have, open windows and doors. And one of the teachers came up to us and said, "What do you have to empower women?" Well,
I didn't know what he meant by that. And it was a male teacher.
Yeah.
And I thought, what is that? Well, then we were in another school, and another male teacher came up because about half the teachers are male in most developing countries. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, like to have kits to take care or any kind of supplies to help them take care of their menstruation. And so we began to kind of put it together and look at it and realize that the tremendous need.
These girls were missing a week of school every month.
And then eventually they drop out of school because they don't have facilities. They don't have to wait to take care of themselves, and so they get embarrassed. Somebody laughs at them. They just don't go back to school.
Yeah.
So we have a program called Hope for Girls, and we have about 10 or 12 sewing clubs here in East Texas, and these women voluntarily make the kits. They're reusable, washable pads with a container, and so a package they can carry them into school, and they're called menstrual health management kits, MHM kits. That's a development term that's used around the world. And so these ladies sew these kits and voluntarily sew them, and then we take them overseas and distribute them through our different projects and ministries.
It's incredible. How many organizations right now do you think are actually thinking of that and doing that? Is it?
It's a movement. It's a growing movement because it, like I said, I've lived in the developing world for the last 50 years, really.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it. I didn't really see it as a need. I didn't understand that, and it wasn't until these male teachers caring for these girls said, "Do you have something to empower girls?" And so then we began to investigate it, and we found that there are other organizations that do this. And so we patterned our pattern after another organization, but they didn't want us to use their pattern, and so we actually went to our sewing clubs and said,
Make a pattern.
You guys have been doing this, and each sewing club was had kind of their own little pattern, it was a similar pattern, but own way. And I put them all in the room. I said, ladies, I'm leaving, but before you leave, you've got to have one pattern that everybody's going to make. And so we have our own pattern now. All of our sewing clubs make the same pattern.
That's amazing.
And it goes out. There's 3 pair of panties in there. There's a washcloth, bar of soap, and we distribute those to the girls.
I actually drove over to Waco yesterday and picked up 1,000 kits that one of the groups there had sewed, and brought it back over here. The couple that's sort of in charge of all that are retired Awanas missionaries.
Oh,
and
wow.
they're just awesome. They're just awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long does a kit last?
3 years, 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Wow, for one individual?
For a girl.
No way.
A girl she rewashes them. They're made out of beautiful colored patterns, so when you're hanging on the line, they don't look like anything.
Yeah.
It's not
Could just
embarrassing.
look like part
Flowers
of,
and colors.
Flowers and
Yeah.
colors.
Aw.
They have a bag they can carry them
It's
in.
quality. It's quality material. It's not junk. And
Yeah.
so, it lasts.
as a female, I'm like, it matters.
It does. It does.
Exactly.
It really does. Yeah.
And it matters to them.
Yeah.
And they proudly, we had one once that had two straps on it that they could wear it like a backpack. And we'd go through town, and all these girls are walking around with their
and,
backpacks.
people
It's
don't
just
know.
awesome.
That's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there's 2 billion people worldwide without access to clean water or proper sanitation. That I don't think
hard to
people
imagine.
really even can comprehend.
People
that
don't
number.
comprehend. That was really what attracted me initially to do something about this. I was reading a book by Richard Stearns called The Hole in Our Gospel. I don't know if you read the book or not. I recommend it. It's a good
I've heard
book.
of it.
And he was the CEO of World Vision U.S. at that time, president, whatever he was. Anyway, he was the leader. And in that, there was a chapter that was on the world water crisis. And in that, I did read a lot of those statistics like you're talking about. There's 3 billion people nearly that don't have, there's over 1 billion that didn't have water. There was, another 2 billion that didn't have access to adequate sanitation. And adequate sanitation just means a hole in the ground.
Right.
That's called adequate sanitation. So,
Yeah.
so 2 billion people are going to the bathroom on top of the ground.
Wow.
And that a child was dying every 10 to 15 seconds from a water-related illness. And that women and children around the world were wasting 200 million hours every day walking back and forth to a distant water source that may or may not be safe, but the only water that they had access to. And they would do that time and again throughout the day to get the necessary water for them to do what they needed to do at home and to bathe with and to cook with and to drink and to wash clothes and all of those kinds of things. And that just struck me, and that's when I was asking God at that time to reveal to me something that I could do that he was interested in, some social problem that he was interested in that I could help with. And this is what came to me. This is what God revealed to me, was that maybe this is what I should do. It really came to me sort of in a question. We were about to go down to the valley, and we were going to do a vision, for eyes. We were going to be fitting people for glasses down there and down on the river. And when that happened, I was standing there in the water aisle, and I was looking at an entire aisle in the grocery store that's dedicated to bottled water. And I'm thinking, here I am in a country where you can go to an abandoned building, and if the water hadn't been turned off at the street, you can still turn the water on and drink that water. And we've got an entire aisle at the grocery store that's dedicated to bottled water. And I kind of looked that up a little bit. And it was like an $8 or $10 billion industry in the United States at that time. And I was like, that's incredible. And at that point, a question formed in my mind. And that question was, what would it look like if there was a bottled water on the shelf along with all those other waters that gave all of its available profits to helping with the world water crisis? Well, I thought, man, that's a great idea. And so I started looking for that organization that was doing it, because I could write them a check, and my conscience would be clean, and it'd all be well and good. And as I looked, I didn't find anybody that was actually doing it. There were a few that were giving percentages of their profits and a certain amount that they would give every year from their profits to clean water projects around the world, but nobody was actually doing what had been presented to me in my brain by God at that time. And so then that presented me with a dilemma. I mean, I was a busy family, full service family practice doc. I did surgery. I delivered babies. I saw kids. I worked 6 to 7 days a week, 12 to 16-hour days most of those days. And I said, well, I don't have time to do that. Oh, don't ever say that to God. Don't ever say, I don't have time to do that. That's not something I can get away with. You can't do it. And so I said, okay, well, I don't have time for that. I'll just go on about my business. Well, it wasn't long until I was waking up at night with dreams. Nightmares of babies dying from water-related illness, diarrhea, vomiting, all the various things that I had seen on these mission trips that I'd been going on before, and saying, man, these people need some clean water, but didn't ever really put the pieces together. And so after about a week or so of waking up every night in a sweat and not sleeping and God just working on me, I went to Steve Aiken, our missions pastor at the church, and I told him the story that I just told you. And I truly expected him to say, have you lost your mind? What do we know about bottling water? What do we know about drilling water wells? And of course the answer was nothing. Yeah. And so, but instead.
Then they came to me and I said, that's the silliest idea I ever heard of.
And Steve said, man, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Let's do it. So anyway, that's when we started it. And God sent people, just surrounded us with people that he had given the same vision to, the same passion to come together as an organization to try to do something about the problems that we had seen with bottled water, or not having adequate drinking water, and not having any sanitation for them to.
And that was about the time that my wife and I retired from our mission board, came to Athens, Texas, and I'd had experience in water projects and drilling wells and hand dug wells and pumps and all that, and so it just kind of was a good fit. Perfect fit.
We had a retired driller from the oil field, and so he had lots of information he could bring. We had an accountant, we had a banker, we had a lawyer. God just put the whole thing together. I mean, it was amazing.
That's usually how it goes too.
We started the nonprofit, and we thought we could just sell water as a nonprofit. Well, you can't sell things
That's
for
how naive we
profit
were.
if you're a nonprofit. Oh, duh. So we had to start a for profit. So we have
we always looked at each other. You can't.
You can't. Yeah.
even if you give the money away. In other words, even if it's for a social conscious project,
Yeah.
you can sell hats and T-shirts and
Well,
all.
actually, for a donation, you can
But,
do that. I don't know if
yeah.
you can sell them or not.
So we had to then go back and reform a for-profit. So Hope Springs Water is the nonprofit. Hope Springs Inc. is our for-profit.
Okay.
And then we had to start looking for a bottler. We had to start looking for customers. We had to start looking for how do we get this product out on the shelves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just so people that aren't familiar, Hope Springs Water goes and essentially drills water wells.
Absolutely.
And you're bringing in the equipment. You're doing the drilling.
Correct.
Are you employing locals and
Right,
the local community?
Yeah,
and
we consider ourselves an implementer
Yeah.
rather than a funder. We don't just raise money to pay somebody to drill a well somewhere.
We do that occasionally.
Occasionally we do that,
in
yeah.
various places.
depending on where the need is.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have what we call wash zones. And like Ted stated, it stands for water, sanitation, and hygiene. And most governments don't want you just to kind of come in and punch a hole in the ground. If you're going to come in to contribute to health in the community, they want you to set up a wash zone, which means that you're intentionally working with the government and local agencies and nonprofits to improve health as a result of clean water, adequate sanitation, and hygiene education.
Yeah.
And so when we go into a community, we have to organize the community. We have to say, is there a need there? Is there interest in the community? Are they willing to put in-kind physical labor and materials in that community? They sign an agreement with us to do that. And so there's some community awareness, community organization that takes place in the community. We develop what's called a WASHCO. It stands for Wash Committee. And the WASHCO is made up of 5 individuals that the community elects, 2 of which have to be women.
Wow.
Because if there's not 2 women on that committee and the pump breaks, it'll never get fixed.
And that's the truth.
That is the truth. And so you have to have at least 2 women on the committee. And that WASHCO then is responsible for promoting the health and hygiene education with us. They're responsible for the drilling of the well, helping with us drilling. They're responsible for the maintenance, that we teach them how to maintain the well, how to maintain the pump. They're responsible for if they're going to charge people to get water from the well, how do you manage the economics of it? Who has the key to the well? All of our wells have a chain and padlock on them. And I remember driving up one time with some folks from the States, and we drove up to one of our wells, and somebody said, "Oh no, it has a lock on it." And I said, "Yes, it has a lock on it," because that means somebody's responsible for it.
Right.
And so it's locked, which means that they have hours in the morning and hours in the evening that the caretaker brings the key and unlocks it, and that way it's taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when
people can
come
come
and draw
twice a day
water,
and get their
twice a
water.
day, what'll happen is if the hours are like 4 to 6 in the afternoon, at 3 o'clock, women and girls will come and stand and line their jerry cans up. That's their space. That's their place in line. And then they'll come back at 4 o'clock, and they're number 3. Their jerry can is sitting there. Nobody moves the jerry cans. It's pretty sacred, you know. And so they come back at 4 and they start in that line. So sometimes at 4 o'clock, you'll see, 45, 50 jerry cans lined up, and young girls and women, they're getting ready to draw their water for the afternoon.
Yeah, I remember the first time, one of my first mission trips, I've been all over, but one of the first ones, we were in Africa, and I remember seeing that. And I kind of painted this parallel. This was like right at the time when you could go to the movie theater and just just pre-book your seat, but some places were still lining up. I like to line up because it was nostalgic for me. Mm-hmm. And, just painting that parallel, a very blessed white male in America lining up for a movie compared to, people, in these other countries lining up jerry cans to get water.
Life-sustaining water.
I mean, just that parallel,
sure.
and it's...
Yeah.
A lot people just don't understand.
And the burden's on women and girls. I mean,
It
girls,
really is, yeah.
Boys will occasionally haul water, but usually it's a girl's job.
And that's why women will see to it that the well gets fixed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it breaks.
Yeah.
We're committed to what we call village sustainable wells. It means that when we walk off, that village is able to sustain its own well. There are pumps and designs that require like a tripod and a come along and somebody with technical expertise to be able to pull the wellhead out and to repair it. But all of the wells we put in the pumps we put in are called Afrodef pumps.
Yeah, they're village level operation and maintenance
And
pumps.
so 3 men can pull it out, repair the washers in it, go to the local water department, get the repair parts, put them on, put it back in, and it's functioning the next day.
Why are the local governments not putting in these wells for themselves and for the community?
Economics.
Yeah, they don't have the money.
No money.
They'll have repair parts for wells.
Yeah.
Or they may even have well pumps sitting around. We went to one place once, and there were a number of Afrodef pumps sitting around in their yard.
Sitting
They
there.
had no money to drill wells.
Oh,
Yeah.
so drilling is the main.
Yeah.
That costs.
They have.
So
They just get so much money.
We have
and
our
that's
own
it.
drilling equipment, small drilling rigs. We drill what's called shallow bore wells, which means they're like less than 300 feet. A deep bore well would be, 300 plus.
Yeah.
And that requires a much bigger equipment. And so we do what's called shallow bore. And in most cases where we drill, a shallow bore well gives us sufficient well for a hand pump. Maybe some places we could put a submergible pump with electricity, but most villages don't have electricity.
How deep can those drillers or the rigs dig?
Our rigs can do 300
Well,
feet.
actually, they were designed
one
for
of
like
them,
500 to 600.
500 to
feet.
600, but
But we
as a
don't
rule-
drill, and as he was talking about, the pumps that we use, they use manual pressure to raise that water up, and you've got a 2-inch column of water coming from down there at 150 to 200 feet.
It takes some time.
and it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy,
And
so
you go much
there's a limit.
below that, either the pump will break or you can't push the handle down anymore and lift that water up. From
And it's
the
not
bottom.
necessary. Like if you put a submergible pump, you might suck the wells we drill dry real quick. But women and girls pumping on it, filling jerry cans, it's able to recover very quickly and never goes dry.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
never goes dry.
How do you get these rigs into these countries and into some of these jungles
Getting them into the country is the nightmare.
It took us a year.
It
to
took
get
us a
into
year to
Ethiopia.
get our rig into Nicaragua. From the time it shipped
And
to the United
Ethiopia,
States,
the same.
yeah,
time
just
And then it
cus-
stays there.
customs
Yeah.
and
customs, paperwork.
oh my god.
So how many
everything.
rigs do you have out in different
We have
countries
3:
right now?
Ethiopia, Guatemala, and Nicaragua.
Okay.
We have 2 in Nicaragua.
We actually have 2. We have a trailer mounted rig, which we can pull and
Okay.
where we have roads and can get to. And roads is
Yeah.
it's a stretch sometimes to say it's a road, but then we also have a small portable rig that it breaks down and no individual part is heavier than 2 men can pick up. So you can be put in the back of a truck, you can be put on a boat. In Nicaragua, we're drilling down what's a river called the Principal Olga River, and there's about 60 villages along that river, some of the poorest people in all of Central America. And where our goal is to eventually get a well in each one of those villages. And so we can put it in a dugout canoe
Wow.
and float it down the river
Yeah.
and still drill a 150-foot well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have 163 completed water projects. What does that mean?
It means 163 villages that have access to water.
So is that a well and a pump?
That's a
and-
well.
Okay.
Now in
and a
Belize, we contracted with when we started in Belize, we were drilling wells, and we were going up the rivers in little canoes and carrying the small rig and that sort of thing. And as we were going along some of these roads, going past these villages, we'd see these well pumps sitting up there, and we were like, "What? Wait a minute! Why are they've got a well? Why are they not using it?" Well, what happened is that the water in that part of the world is caustic. And even the galvanized metal that they had down in those wells was rusting. And the water would turn red. It would be bitter. It gave people stomach cramps.
Yeah.
So they quit drinking
Just
it.
abandoned it.
So we took 50 wells. At least I don't maybe more than
We
50.
did more than 50. Yeah.
Anyway, we took wells down there, and we bought stainless steel rods, stainless steel pumps, PVC, and we used those down in those wells, replaced the stainless steel, replaced them with the PVC and stainless steel, and so no more rust. And so they were able to utilize those wells again when they had to go back to the river because they got belly cramps and it was bitter and it was a red color and they thought that was bad, and it wasn't good, but because that's iron and they don't need to be drinking a lot of iron.
Yeah.
We did that in conjunction with the government. It was a contract with the government to redo these wells.
They didn't pay us for it, but they contracted with us.
They contracted us. They were grateful for it, and we built good relationships with the government.
Yeah,
so we did about 50 some odd wells, recovery wells, which we didn't have to drill. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So we take volunteer teams,
Mm-hmm.
men and women who pay their own way, buy their airplane ticket, pay their way to go to Ethiopia, Guatemala, Nicaragua, and work for a week, get muddy, dirty, sweaty, haul pipe, help dig ditches.
That's neat.
But they don't do many dig ditches. I found out a long time ago that Americans are not really good at digging ditches. And Nicaraguans are
We don't
real
practice
good.
it enough.
And Nicaraguans are real good at
I
digging
mean,
ditches.
what are they digging with? They're
Yeah.
digging with
Yeah, a shovel
it's
and a
not-
pick.
yeah,
and
a pick, an
Sometimes it's
not a
just
backhoe.
a little
Yeah.
Not a backhoe.
yeah.
And Nicaraguans and Ethiopians are really good at digging
Oh,
ditches.
they're
So
so
we let
good.
them do that.
And they're really
love
pretty
to
when
do
they
it.
finish,
They're so
too.
good.
And
They'll
they're
fight.
sloped just right. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We go into a village and we say, well, we need this ditch dug or we need a pit dug for the well. And the boys in the village will literally fight over the shovels. I mean, literally fight. I mean, you got some kids working and he takes 5 shovels out and then somebody says, hey, it's my turn.
Oh my god.
Because they want to be a part of it. They want to be helped.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They want to contribute.
Yeah. I went out with a team of 10 to Tanzania, and we went to do ministry with the Daiso people.
Okay.
But we had to help build a bathroom so that a church can expand.
Sure.
Basically, I think they had some kind of rule that they couldn't have more than a congregation of 10
Without
or like,
having
without
toilets,
having
yeah.
a toilet.
We just,
And so we dug, and 2 Tanzanians out dug
Oh, of course.
10 of us.
Yeah, of course.
And this is like 5 grown guys
Yeah.
and 5 women, and I don't know how they did it. They were digging all day long. I had to take a nap in the middle of the day, and I don't take naps.
we just completed a project in Ethiopia where there was a school that had 12 to 1,500 students in it. And then when the war started with the rebels in the surrounding areas, all the people out there were sending their kids into the towns along the road for them to go to school. Well, the population of that school increased from 12 to 1,500 to over
It's
3,500.
crazy, yeah.
And they had 2 holes in the ground were their bathrooms.
2 toilets.
This is
For 3,500
for 3,500 students. So we built using a design that Jim had come up with. We built a bathroom that we drilled a well, built a bathroom, run water to it so that they can wash their hands. They have toilets, enough
8
toilets.
toilets for girls, 2 for teachers, and 4 for
And
boys.
this is something you designed.
We designed it.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
We designed it because it's a. Well, that's another story. I've been around toilets all my life. Been around outhouses
So have
all my
I.
life.
Yeah, holes in the ground.
Holes in the ground, and we built a lot of toilets in Nicaragua and latrines. We call them latrines.
Yeah.
We had a contract with the Honduras government that the Honduras government would give us 2 bags of cement, 2 bars of steel, and 2 sheets of tin for every latrine we would build.
Wow.
And so we taught our pastors how to build them. We built molds. And so, several pastors would build maybe 10 or 15, 20 in their village. I had one pastor that built 25 and came back, built more 25, built another 25. And before long, he had every household in his village had a latrine, and they elected him mayor.
Wow.
But
That's all it takes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
that's all you need.
But what we found is that in a lot of countries, that even toilets and sanitation systems for schools that have been built by NGOs and governments are very poorly built. They fall apart. They're poor construction. They
Not
fill up.
sustainable.
They can't be emptied. People have gone to this composting idea, but then they never dig them out. It's just a problem, and you're dealing with the rainy and the dry season, and so. I went to look in Ethiopia with a health official at some school latrine systems that had been built by some NGOs, and they were like 2 or 3 years old, non-functional. They spent $30,000-$40,000, non-functional, And I kept saying to myself, somebody smarter than Jim Palmer and somebody with a lot more money than Hot Springs Water should be able to figure this out. And so when COVID hit, about that same time, the Lord just said to me, no, Jim, you've been around toilets for 40 years. You know the cultural problems, you know some of the, and a lot of it is cultural. You know, some of the technical, logistical parts. You're going to do this. And so I spent a lot of COVID time researching toilets and renewable toilets, how to design a toilet that would function in the dry season and in the rainy season, that would be renewable, that would not have to be dug out after it filled up. And so taking Ethiopia and Nicaragua and Guatemala government restrictions as to what they say latrines have to meet for schools, and then designing a system that converts from a wet system in the rainy season to a dry system in the dry season. So it's a triple tank.
Wow.
If you know anything about septic systems,
Yeah.
septic systems have two tanks, a gray water and a black water, and then it absorbs into the ground. Well, this has actually four tanks. So in the dry season, it's a dry composting. The microorganisms that consume human feces, you kind of say feces on a that's a good
Yeah.
word. That's a technical
I
word.
think it's
Yeah,
great.
I mean,
I
this
won't
is-
use the word we normally use.
This
real word.
missions podcast,
It's
there's going to be some
right.
crazy stuff on the show,
Yeah.
I can assure you.
So the microorganisms that consume human feces in dry environment are different than the microorganisms in a wet environment. I live on a farm. Ted lives on a farm. We have septic systems,
Yeah.
but it's a wet system. So
I
if
didn't
you
know they were different.
yeah, different and working microorganisms. So in the dry season, you have no water. In the rainy season, you got lots of water on the roof. And so this is a system that has a first chamber that during the dry season uses a dry composting. When the rainy season comes, all the rain off the roof of the sanitation system flushes all that out into a wet system. And all during the rainy season, you have a wet system, and all of that dissipates all of the feces.
Wow. Now, do you have to add these organisms, these microorganisms,
No, they're
into
natural.
the tanks? It's just
Yeah,
natural.
They
In the
come
US,
from the people.
in the United States, you
Amazing.
sometimes will add microorganisms to a septic
Yeah.
system. In the tropical environment, you don't have to. There's plenty of tropical.
A lot of people use cleaning supplies that would kill the bacteria
Here.
in the United States.
but not there.
Just
So-
bleach it all.
So we just completed this sanitation system for this school of 3,500 students.
Yeah.
That they had two toilets
And this is in Ethiopia.
in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
They
how
were out
long-
there helping. They were digging and carrying
God,
dirt.
yeah, I love
The government
that.
the government officials came, and when we dedicated it and they saw the system, they were just like,
Wow.
they didn't understand. They kept asking questions over and over and over again. How does this work? How does this work? How does it work?
Yeah.
And finally, the regional guy from the government said, we give you permission to build these again, build as many as you want.
Wow.
And any NGO that builds in our region will have to build one just like this.
Wow.
We're not going to let them build anything else.
So you're setting
So-
standards. You're engineering
what we
things
do.
that are setting
Yeah.
standards in other
we want to do
countries.
that. We want to say, and it's something that we didn't just, I mean, certainly it was my idea and we invented it, but we vetted it with people local and said, would this work? Would this work?
Yeah.
Would this work?
cool.
How does it work? So the women have a pod, girls have a pod, teachers have a pod, and boys have a pod. Instead of having like 6 toilets with doors on them that fall off,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
nobody can use them.
Yeah.
The girls go in, there's only 3 doors, only 3 gates.
Yeah.
And once you're in the pod, then it's kind of walk around like you do in an airport.
Yeah.
So there's no doors to the individual toilets in the girls' pod.
And there's no direct vision from the outside.
There's no direction. You just kind of walk around a loop. And girls don't mind a girl walking in on them. But the boys aren't allowed in the girls' pod. They have a teacher's pod. Teacher's pod has a shower for teachers to take a shower. Most teachers live in little huts behind the school and have no
Right.
facilities either. So we would love to build more of those.
Yeah.
How long do these last?
We don't know yet.
We
Okay,
don't
you
know.
yet.
15 years from now, we'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We built one as a model 5 years ago, and I had the pastor of the church or one of the men in the church had a stick, and he would go in every Friday and measure all the pits and let me know how they were doing during the rainy season, the dry season, and the rainy season.
Okay.
Season. And so we've had some testing of it, and we know how it works. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? I just want your opinion. What is the biggest thing that people don't understand I mean, here in America, there's so much that we don't understand. We understand what we're told on our little devices. And there's
Most
such
people
a
don't
disconnect.
know that the rest of the world doesn't live like we live here in the United States. They don't know that people don't go to their sink and turn on the water and safe water comes out, or that when they go to the bathroom, they push the lever and everything goes away and they never have to think about it again. Most people don't. My mother didn't know that
Yeah.
until I told her. And I'm not sure she believed me when I told her.
Right.
But she said, "You're kidding. People don't have water to drink?" And I said,
Yeah.
And,
they
and
don't.
beyond that, I think beyond that is, I think most people understand how much time is wasted. We could call it wasted in just surviving in most countries.
Right.
Just finding firewood to cook with, just finding water to bathe with, to cook with, to wash with, having women who don't go to the bathroom all day long because they have to wait till dark to go out to the edge of their little village, their little house compound and squat. They don't realize the danger that girls face when they go out to go to the bathroom or when they're walking distances to get water, how they're that they're objects of being preyed upon. And so that element of not having water at your house or not having a toilet creates all kinds of other dynamics. It makes life very difficult.
We went to Uganda to drill a well in a village in Uganda, and Bunyagira was the name of the village. And as we were getting there and arriving and getting ready to drill the well, one of the villagers came up and said just yesterday that a little boy had gone. Their water source was a little pool of water, I guess a spring that was down at the bottom of a hill, and there was a lot of vegetation around it. And he had been bitten by a snake while he was down there getting water the day before, and he died before they could do anything about it. And so those are some of the dangers that they, and of course, small children, there's water holes down there that are open for everybody, and kids fall in it and drown. And so those are some of the risks that they take. And so drilling some water wells that are safe for people to walk around and move around, and animals don't get in them or fall in them or do whatever else animals do to get in your water source is huge for those people.
Yeah.
You know, we figure we've given clean water and or sanitation to 56,000 plus people over the years that we've been doing this.
56,000.
Yep.
That's amazing.
And 4,000 of those menstruation kits have been passed out. And so, that's a growing need, or a growing need that's recognized in at least in Ethiopia.
4,000 girls, if half of those would have dropped out of school, that's 2,000 girls that wouldn't have gone to school, wouldn't have been able to contribute to their family long term without our Hope for Girls kits.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And that's still just such a small drop in the bucket.
It's just a drop in the bucket.
I mean,
But it's our bucket.
It's our
Yeah.
bucket. That's right.
yeah, and it's, I mean, that sounds like an incredible number. You're like, wow, that's amazing. But then when you realize that there's 2 billion
Millions.
Oh.
people. So what's the growth plan? I mean, I know like selling bottled water, and I just love and have to commend you guys for, the innovative funding model of, having the for-profit supporting the nonprofit. I love that. I've been around nonprofits all my life, and I've never really been a fan. I think it's more in my entrepreneurial mind. I'm like, I don't want to ask people for money. I mean, yes, there's people that want to support, and that's good, and there is a place for that. But creating something that can involve people that is self-sustaining in a sense, or at least supplemental.
Self-sustaining is a good word, and we'd have to be honest and say we're not making millions of dollars off water. I mean, water
It's
is such
hard to compete with the big guys.
It's hard to compete. The margin is very small, but what it does, it gets our message out,
Gets the word out.
and we're not losing money.
And it's a great visual
can
because here's
sustain-
clean water,
Yeah.
and Hope
Yeah.
Springs water can help bring clean water to people.
And then
That's amazing.
what we do make off of it, all the profits go back into our nonprofit.
I just love that.
So
I just love that. And you're in how many outlets? 250 is what I read.
Yeah,
told
it's
me.
probably at least that many.
Yeah.
We're pretty much in all of the Brookshire stores, and they've got
I
nearly
was wondering
200.
about that. I'm like, you guys have to be at Brookshire's.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
like this
we're in
little
Brookshires
bowl.
has actually been a very, very faithful
Yes.
help to us. They've
Mm-hmm.
had opportunities to throw us out and drop us numerous times, and they have stuck by
Stuck
us,
with it.
and they've continued to put our
That's
water on their
awesome.
shelves, and they've supported us in other ways, and
Yeah.
with supporting some of our fundraisers and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. But the plain truth is that we still depend mostly on donations.
Okay.
And we use this as a supplement to the donations, but we're a
not the main,
nonprofit
yeah.
that we don't have large amounts of money coming in other than our fundraisers and donations.
And the water is sold in a lot of mom and pop stores,
Okay.
a lot of local feed stores, hardware stores. One of our big customers, one of the plumbing chains, and plumbers come in. They're a plumber to supply, and plumbers come in to buy materials, and they're gonna have to run into Walmart to pick up 2 cases of water for their crew that day. And they just pick it up right there at the counter at the plumbing supply.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
they love that,
That's
So,
awesome.
and a lot of we have some agencies, car dealerships that give the water away in their waiting rooms in the Dallas area, and other organizations. We have churches that buy our water for their use of their church for
Events,
events.
yeah.
We just delivered 10 cases to a church in Palestine that it's got a women's conference this
Yeah.
weekend, and they wanted
the
10
parking
cases.
spot, the parking area
Yep.
at all the airports.
Yeah. So-
it's our water that's in their refrigerator.
If someone wanted to partner with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
what would be the easiest way to do that? Is that to just get on your website and there's
Website tells you how you
Website.
can order the water.
Okay.
They could call Amanda. They could email Amanda at hopespringswater.org. There's
Website
there's
has all
lots
that
of ways.
information
All
on it.
that's
Cool.
all on the website or on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Or go with us. Go with us. Go with us
See
to
for yourself.
Guatemala,
That would be
Nicaragua.
okay. I
or
was going to
Ethiopia.
ask, what are the teams like? Like, what kinds of people are you taking on these trips?
anybody
We
that's
we
got a
take
heart for it.
only
Yeah,
we only take men and women.
yeah. So I can't bring my dog.
We have
No dogs,
women who
no
go
dogs.
and help on drilling teams, and we have men who go and do health and hygiene education. So when typically our team would be made up of different people who, okay, I'm going to go and work on the drilling team. I'm going to carry pipe. I'll do whatever.
Dig a
and
hole.
then dig a hole. And then we have folks who go and say, okay, I want to go into the schools each day and do health and hygiene education and do menstruation education, pass out the menstruation kits to the girls. And so we have our own materials that we've written, that do our
Okay.
health and hygiene
That's
education for
awesome.
boys and
Yeah.
girls, and then do our menstruation education for girls. And so each day we go into a different school and do that. in the school.
We've looked at other people's stuff and looked at government information about what needs to be taught at these things, and then come up with our own program.
Written our own materials, yeah. And there were materials that we didn't write just on our own. We vetted them with our women and teachers in Ethiopia and Nicaragua
That's
and
awesome.
Guatemala, and
And they
it was
generally help
interesting.
us teach the program when we
they-
go
I
there.
love that.
As we were writing the materials, they would say, a lot of times our partners in these countries don't want to criticize us because they think you're Americans, you're educated, you know what you're doing. And I said, no, we want you to criticize us.
Yeah.
We want you to tell us how we can make this better. And
What's
they would
fun-
hesitate, and they would say, okay, well, this right here, that's not important. Oh, this right here, this is very, very important.
Wow,
What's
yeah.
fun is to stand in the back of the room and listen to them teaching the program to the kids,
Yeah.
and they get excited.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, they get into it, and they're talking about
So-
this, and they're that they're saying this is important. You need to pay
love
attention to
that.
this.
So our U.S. team will start the teaching off usually,
Yeah.
and then after they get into one or two of the posters, they turn it
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
There's some value in that. The kids are fascinated that you're there, that you're speaking English, and that you've come to their country, and they listen, and then we pass it off to our Ethiopian, Nicaraguan, Guatemalan ladies who then teach it from there.
One of the most important aspects of our nonprofit that we really hadn't covered until just now, and I want to cover it, is that when we go into these areas, we always partner with local pastors and missionaries, and they're always going out into because many of the places where we've drill wells, there's no evangelical churches in those areas. They don't truly know Jesus in a lot of these areas, and so we have pastors who circulate amongst the people and find people of peace. In almost every village that we've drilled wells in through this time. There's been little house churches that started, and eventually other churches. A little pastor that we met the first time, 15 or 16 years ago, and he was one of two Christians in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a little church that was a dirt floor and split railed benches, and it was made of mud. It was a mud hut, and that was their church. And since then, he now is over 73 churches. Yeah. He's now helped start and helped to plant 73 churches that he
leads
now
our pastoral training, supervises these pastors
Wow.
for that whole region.
So taking the word of Christ to these people, we are a faith-centered organization. All of us who are involved with it do so because of our faith and because we feel like this is something that God has called us to do. Mm-hmm. And spreading the word is paramount. Because otherwise, if you give somebody a cup of water, then you've helped them temporarily, because our bodies are temporary. And if you give them a cup of water or you give them adequate sanitation, you've helped them a little bit for a short period of time, whatever the length of their life is. But what we want to do is make an eternal difference in people's lives. And so that's what we do with our program, as far as involving local pastors, local missionaries, helping them building churches and bringing people to Christ. That's the bottom line goal for what we do.
And that's where our mission statement says, bringing hope to the world.
Yeah.
Through clean water, adequate sanitation, and health and hygiene education.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the basics.
Yeah.
You got to take care of the basics.
That's right.
Jesus
did that.
Yeah.
He didn't try to, force the gospel down somebody's throat if they were starving to death or if they needed a drink of water. He took care of their basic need. He healed people.
Yeah.
He took care of people. He made them feel important. And then he talked about, do you want eternal life? I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. And so, that's the model that Jesus set. He took care of people's needs. He fed the 5,000. I mean, he took care of their needs, and then he talked to them about their eternal needs. And we kind of do the same thing.
Yeah.
We kind of do the same thing.
So right now in America, and I feel like kind of around the Western world, there's this, spending trillions of dollars on AI advancements, billions of dollars trying to go to space and other planets and whatever Elon Musk is doing.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are dying because they can't, clean themselves properly or get a drink of water.
There's another famine going on in East Africa, and most of the world doesn't even know it.
I didn't know it.
Don't even know it.
I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Not on my news feed.
Yeah.
What my
Not on
news
my
feed is,
Instagram.
well, when are we going to space? Or, the market's up and Bitcoin and constantly distracted.
We live in very siloed worlds, both with geopolitical borders, but even within borders, even within our own country, there's lots of silos that we can kind of hide in, not intentionally, but it forces us into it. And sometimes you have to say, how do I get out of my silo? How do I get out of my little world view and realize that there's people just like me that have some of the same needs and concerns that I do that live in other places.
Yeah, we all pretty much sign up for some foreign news services as well, so we can kind of figure out what's really going on in the world.
Yeah.
You have to.
Oh,
You have to be intentional, otherwise you're just going to get fed.
I have
crap.
2 or 3 news feeds from all of our countries that I get daily, and I can kind of keep up with what's going on in Ethiopia. What's the currency exchange? What's the government? What's taking place with the government?
Yeah.
Because it's important for our teams. We were not able to take a couple teams to Nicaragua this year, and the government was pretty restrictive about who could go in. And we've kind of gone back now and understanding where the government is and saying, okay, what hoops do we have to jump through to make sure that our teams can go and be safe and partner with our folks there.
Yeah. I don't think I would have really understood the survival and the fight to survive that you needed. The last mission trip was Tanzania that I went on, and just hearing about like women who were crushing rocks, like breaking rocks into dust to survive. Just kind of, it still boggles my mind.
What were they
thinking about
using
it.
that for?
Roads, gravel.
Yeah,
and gravel.
like she was literally creating gravel.
Oh, like that was her.
that was her
working.
livelihood. That was
And
her
they use
job.
little small hammers,
Yeah,
and they just
yep.
chip it off.
This lady and
Just-
we walked by her. We were doing door-to-door evangelism, and I just was like, Or like when you hear about, like, we would hear about women, and we met with them, like women who would go blind because their spaces just didn't have any light.
Cooking
That
over an
really
open fire.
boggled my mind. I was like,
Yeah, I
over
mean, they're in their
fire.
bomas and it's just
Yeah.
pitch black.
and so they go blind really
And-
early
and a lot of
because
smoke
of the
usually in
strain
there.
in their eyes. They have a lot of issues, respiratory issues, and I'm just
One of our public health initiatives is school-based deworming.
Mm.
We didn't speak about that, but
I
that's close to my
remember.
heart.
Yeah.
You probably remember that one.
Yeah.
Doing it. You know that children lose in most developing countries lose about 35% of their school days. They don't go to school because they've got dysentery, diarrhea, whatever.
oh wow.
And of course, the answer is shoes and clean water.
Right.
But putting shoes on all the children and getting clean water to all the children is a pretty big task. But one pill that costs 50 cents twice a year will help eliminate a lot of the intestinal parasites that children have. And so that the statistics are that if a child is dewormed twice a year, then you can drop that 35% of their school days that they lose down to about 10. And that margin of 15% of not attending school can make a difference whether a child advances in school, stays in school long term, and contributes. The World Health Organization probably about 10 years ago published an article that said that the most cost-effective anti-poverty measure might be school-based deworming.
Wow.
And it was like, what?
50 cents a pill.
And because it can keep kids in school
Yeah.
that can then contribute to their family's welfare as they graduate.
They also said that that the solution to world poverty is probably clean water.
Clean water, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. First step.
I remember when we went to Ethiopia on my way back, started to feel a little sick. Something just happening right in here. And I think that was the most sick I've ever been in my life. I was for sure going
You were
to
going to
die.
die, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I called Dad. I was like, Dad, what's happening? He's like, oh, you probably got one of those amoebas. He's like, good thing you told me,
parasite.
because, a couple days later you probably would be dead. I don't remember what kind of, because I was in just a delusion for like 11 days.
I
And
remember that.
I just remember that pill
you
or
were pretty sick.
whatever I
You were
ate.
pretty
I
sick.
was like, this is the biggest horse tranquilizer pill I've ever eaten in my life, but it killed it. But I just remember just this
Wow.
It felt
parasite.
like it was growing.
And it
in
was
there.
growing and getting really hot closer to my heart. And then I started doing, we laugh about it, but I was
Sure,
like, I'm going to
sure.
Oh, I know. I could tell you
I'm
were
gonna
concerned.
die.
You were
We've all
concerned.
been there.
Yeah, I was like, started doing
I'm
some
pretty
research.
sure I got typhoid fever on one of our trips to Ethiopia one time. I thought I was going to die on that one too.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die on several mission trips.
I've had malaria 6 times. So.
Yeah, you guys have been around. Wow. Well,
The joke was in when we first went to Honduras was that you couldn't vote at mission meeting unless you had malaria at least once or twice.
yeah, you understand.
Your vote didn't count.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing absolutely incredible work, and it's just humbling to be able to talk with you and just have you at our table and learn more about this. And it's one of my favorite organizations and nonprofits. You guys are doing so much, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen the impact. And I mean, you're so ingenuitive and creating things that are new and different, and you're doing things in a way that I think are sustainable, like actually sustainable here on the US side, but also in country. And I just commend you for that. How can people, what is the most important thing that people can do to support Hope Springs right now?
Buy our water.
Yeah.
If you go to Brookshire's and it's not on the shelf, ask the manager, where's Hope Springs water? Because every individual manager is responsible for ordering it. If they don't order it, it's not on the shelf.
To me, I think the most important thing is to join with us. I mean, learn about us, figure out more, get on our website, check out who we are, come go on a trip, check it out for yourself. But getting people involved, I mean, if they buy our water, that's going to help some. The biggest thing is me getting them involved in our programming, get them involved in coming with us and helping and volunteering. We've got a golf tournament coming up pretty soon, and we need volunteers. We need people to sponsor holes. We need people to invest in the future of the people in the countries where we work. And the way that they can do that is through helping sponsor us and financially helping in that way.
At
Because as I
Thanksgiving.
mentioned, our donations is really how we exist. This helps. This helps,
Yeah.
but it's not enough to do everything. Well, you've heard everything we're doing, so I mean, it doesn't do everything we're doing, and so we want to continue doing what we're doing. And so, getting people involved, people that have so have got some disposable income, people that want to give us $10 a month, people that want to give us $100 a month, $1,000 a month. Make a one-time donation. Well, it all helps. It all goes into the bucket, and it all helps.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
and
a
I,
turkey trot at Thanksgiving
Yeah.
that we
yeah, yeah.
sponsor.
Okay.
And we have people drive from Tyler to Athens. We have people come from Dallas
That's
to
awesome.
just run in our turkey trot because it
It's a
supports
sanctioned.
Oceans
It's a
Water.
sanctioned run. I mean,
that's
Yeah,
great.
it's a
I
sanctioned
didn't know
run.
that y'all were
Yeah, I
sponsoring
didn't
one. I've
know
done the
either.
turkey trot here in Tyler, but
Okay.
I might just start doing the one in Athens.
It's sanctioned. You get a time and
Come on.
it's a
We
certified.
should do it as
yeah.
Lightbox Missions.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
there you go.
We do it early, and by 10 o'clock, people are gone, and they
Great.
go back home to their
Nice.
families for Thanksgiving or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
That's
me,
so
it's just
fun.
it's such a tangible way to do good, and with Lightbox Missions, our whole thing is we want to support people that are just doing good. Just like there's so much
Yeah.
just pointless things that we can waste our time doing, and we do. It's like, how could we just start making these small incremental changes and just doing more good in the
And the
world?
joy that brings. The
It's
satisfaction to
biblical.
say, I've
Go
done
around
something.
doing good. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Man, well, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for
I
having
appreciate
us.
it. Yeah.
We love
been
telling the
great.
story.
No, it's so good, and I
love
can't
that
wait for
story.
more people to get involved and hopefully hear this and get on your website and
Thanks.
yeah. But I
Like I
appreciate
said,
it.
everybody that doesn't, if they hold still long enough, I'll tell them a story.
There you go.
All right, awesome.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
guys.
Appreciate you.